right, let's welcome Aaron Whitfield, owner of I Am Mufali. His journey is a testament to creativity, resilience, purpose, from writing music and influencing fashion to dedicating over 15 years to youth development. His multifaceted career is truly inspiring. As a podcast, content creator, author, motivational speaker, minister, songwriter, community activist, many hats, all driven by love, faith, and humanity. Aaron, we are thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to have you introduce me like that. You made me sound really good, so I appreciate it.
Hey, you're awesome.
Do that again. Do
it again. Download it on Friday and then put it on repeat.
Every morning I'm going to listen to that. You know?
All right.
It's inspiring.
Right. Well, let me start off by asking you the same question we ask every guest. What can our audience not go on Google right now and find out about you?
So I have two things off the top. I'm 39, so I'm gonna show my age with this one. Okay, I'm gonna show my age.
You're young.
Anybody watch? Did y'all watch The Apprentice at all?
Unfortunately, I enjoy. It was a guilty pleasure.
Okay. So my former babysitter was Omarosa Manigault, who is known as Omarosa on the show.
What? She was your babysitter?
Oh, wow.
She was my babysitter. Yeah, she used to babysit me when I was
Was she as
elementary
evil as
school.
she seemed? Or...
No, Oni was incredible. We call her Oni.
Aww.
And so, Oni is incredible. And she used to bake us cookies and stuff like that. And she was she went to an HBCU by where we grew up and lived. And she was a beauty queen. Like she was the queen of the college. And so, but she was incredible, and nice person.
Wow.
Then she went,
she went to the dark side with Trump. But I mean,
she made a move. She made a move.
And but she brought it back. She left. She left it.
Okay, yeah.
Midterm, she left. Yeah. Or maybe she got kicked out. One of the two.
Yeah, what does leaving look like? Yeah, let's define leaving. But no, she was wonderful as a person and driven as a person. So, and I respect her drive. So even if it did drive her to Donald, so
yeah. All right. So I gotta ask you because of course, pre-show, I was struggling with the name because you have the website I Am Mufali. So I was thinking that was your pseudonym. I knew it wasn't your real name, but I thought it might have been your pseudonym. But can you tell our audience I Am Mufali, what is Mufali?
Mufali, the MU stands for music, the FA stands for fashion, and the LI stands for life. And so those are the three things that years back, before when I had a whole lot of hair and just living life, those were like the three things that
us.
Yeah. Life and a few bills that I came up with to sort of, really just brought about who I am. I'm still a huge fan of music. I write music every day. Life, well, I have life that's pretty self-explanatory. In fashion is just my way to express who I am. So whether it's in black hoodie or getting dressed up, fashion is always going to play a part of my life.
That's awesome. Nice. So we say fashion. So go ahead, Gianna.
No, I was going to ask you, you in your bio, we did just mention you're moved by love, faith, and inspired by humanity. How do those core values kind of drive your creative process and impact the kind of content you create, whether it's music or writing or your podcast?
A lot of what I do is about creating community. And so whether it is what I do in my professional life or my own personal life, I'm always trying to bring people together to see, even in the midst of differences, how we have commonalities and how differences can be used as tools to create learning experiences. And so even as a Black introvert, which that's the podcast that I have, I have a weird way of sort of maneuvering around life and bringing people together. I'm often that weird bridge that bridges two groups together. And so, humanity influences me and inspires me each and every day.
Now, I listened to your podcast, and I got to say, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I just like the stories that you tell, and the way you tell them. I mean, and they're it's short, which is good. You know, little 20 minute episodes, right? And you give these tidbits of information. So where does that come from?
A lot of that is from, prior to working at Ohio State University, where I work currently at a major university, I worked at a library. And, in libraries, you have story times with the kids. Well, I can't tell these stories to the kids, obviously. They're not meant for the young children. But I almost look at what my podcast is as an adult story time.
Mm,
How can I paint a picture or tell a couple chapters of my life, just in general, or my experiences today for those who are on their way to work, and maybe bring some enlightenment, maybe make you mad at me, maybe make you cry a little bit, but to evoke some sort of emotion, and hopefully impact your life in a
Right.
positive way.
Absolutely love that.
I love that. Now, I'm very curious how does your creative process vary when you're taking on different projects? Because you have a lot of creative outlets, which is amazing and total respect for that. But I guess I'm curious, like, how do you tackle your music versus how you would tackle a fashion project?
mm,
Mm,
So music,
interesting.
that's a great question. Music is almost therapy for me. It is the um, when I need to pour out my soul, which is generally every day.
mm,
Music is
Mhm.
the constant. Really a lot of what I do with music is for me. And I have incredible rhymes everywhere, phones, books, whatever. But a lot of that is for who I am. The fashion element is I started getting back into really dressing, not every day because I'm not that consistent, but 3 days out the week when I go to work. Yeah, I want to look good 3 days out the week to not for
Yes.
everybody else, but really for myself. And so a student challenged me to take a selfie every day.
mm.
Um, when I go into work to not only
Very
be,
cool.
get more comfortable being in the front of the camera, but also just to show who I am, show my blackness, show what 39 looks like, show
Right.
what life looks like in general. And so I'm really trying to do things like that more and just, find a different way to express who I am.
And did I read
Kind
on
of.
you talked about your music? Did I read on your website that you create your music? The sounds were created during times of like depression and self-destructive behavior, turning pain
Mm,
into art. So can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I have an instrumental album that I put out on my podcast. I may re-release it. And it was at a time in my life in which everything, when I talk about everything was going wrong, everything, I was depressed.
I've been there.
We went through
mm.
two miscarriages, lost my job,
Oh,
financially broken, relationships broken, losing who I am. And at that time, I could not write music. And that was the first time in my life really, that I could not write. And so I started just making beats. And the beats turned into, yes, a depressing soundtrack, but I found
mm,
little ways to put words within the beats.
Mm.
And so
mm.
and it really sort of evoked how I felt. And so when I go back and listen to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this was me speaking through the music in a different way as opposed to writing the lyrics down. I'm using the
Ah,
sounds and the vocal manipulation to tell my story.
Yeah. So you went through
that,
two
that's
You
beautiful.
miscarriages.
create
I'm sorry. I want to build on what he
Yeah.
was just follow up on
I,
what he
I
said.
went through there was a 3 years point in my life where I was kicked out of the church that I attended and started.
Mhm.
And that happened. My grandmother
Oh,
died, my
wow.
sister-in-law died, two miscarriages, lost my job, my wife lost her job. Like it was
My
just a
goodness.
storm
I'm
and
just
back to back to back to back.
yeah. I've
And
been there
Wow.
before. I've
I
been there
was
before, and I
losing.
know how that feels. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
that's difficult. I mean, it feels like this just weight of like nonstop attacks on you, just like getting
Yeah,
beat down, and you just can't get up. And it's I've been there. I mean, it happened to me, and it was related to a miscarriage as well. I mean, it was part a miscarriage was part of the timing, and it was
Mhm.
just so difficult to kind of break out of that funk for a little minute,
Mhm.
and it hurt. I mean, it hurt a lot. I mean, I don't think, I know women struggle with miscarriages, but men struggle with it too more than they let on oftentimes. And sometimes you have to be strong for the
Absolutely.
woman in that time, and you really can't share how you're feeling about it. I mean, was that the case with you?
Yeah, I didn't know how to process it.
Mm-hmm.
I was angry. I was angry, and I
I
didn't
remember
realize
that
how
too.
angry I was until years later. I was really, I mean, for those, I'm gonna go here, but I was angry with God. I
Mm,
was angry with self.
mm,
And so I was like, this is not what I signed up for
mm,
with my 20s.
Yeah.
I was supposed to graduate college and have the house, have the picket fence, this
Hmm.
wasn't on the plate, but I had to eat it anyway.
yeah.
Hmm.
I could look back now and appreciate the music, but I call those almost my dark years because I don't remember all of it.
I
And
remember
really,
that
I'm
too.
thankful I don't.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I don't.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Robbie?
Yeah, no, it's. I was just gonna keep talking about the music. Just as far as the samples and the sound bites that are used in your music, do you create that yourself? Are you sourcing it from other performers?
Yeah, so I am very much influenced by like the 90s hip hop era of sampling records, and I've never been trained on how to make beats. I've never looked over the Fruity Loops. I use a program called Fruity Loops. I've never looked over the
Oh
manual,
yeah.
never done any of that. But what I do is sit there and just whatever sort of comes out of my soul is going to be on the screen, and so at that specific time, the records that I was just finding and just sampling were just it was the perfect moment to create
Mm,
when I felt like I couldn't create.
mm,
And so now that I
Mm.
sort of went through that, now I am able to write. I write still, like I told you, I write music every day. My writing has gotten so much better. And so I'm able
Yeah.
to creatively express myself in a different way. But Um, yeah, it just, life inspires the music and the art and the creativity.
Gianni?
So speaking on that, and as a teacher and a motivational speaker, what message or what kind of idea do you find yourself pushing the most or returning to the most? What kind of like underlying,
Mm,
like I said, message or idea that you use to inspire others to pursue their own passions?
Empowerment. It's really a lot about empowerment. Whether you are 8 years old, whether you are 18 or 28, or 38, 39, whatever it may be. I
Right.
speak a lot about empowerment because I didn't know the power that I had at an early age. I was almost just going through life, and instead of impacting life, I was allowing life to impact me. And so
mm,
once I
Mm.
got to be about 32, 33, I'm like, I need to hit back at life. I need to move toward life in the way that life is moving toward me. And so I really became, very focused on intentionality,
mm.
being very
Yeah.
intentional with my movements, waking up each day and saying, hey, who can I positively impact today? While also telling myself, Aaron, you have to open yourself up to be positively impacted by other people. So it's a two-way street.
Yes.
Just little steps like that and just finding the joys in the day as opposed to just going through the day, like that has
Yes.
significantly changed my outlook on life. So I teach those same principles of positive impact and also being able to be positively impacted to my students.
I like that.
I
I
love
love
that.
that intention. So, how do you put that into practice? Because I try to live very similarly. I had a traumatic experience with my family, and I try to bring that positivity out when I'm dealing with people because this could be the worst day of their life. I don't know. So, be kind. So, I'm just
Yeah.
curious how you put that positivity out in the world, the impact that you try to create.
I try to meet them where they are, not as students necessarily, but as people. And one of my, the message that they probably hear the most from me is that people are expecting you. people need to feel you. People need to
Mm,
experience you. And not
true.
just in a way in which they want your money or they want your talent, but people need to experience your heart, your love, your mind, your passion, things like that. And so once I sort of drop that seed and almost try to help not change their view of the world, but understand that the world, yes, there are people that are against you, but there are people that are so for you
Mm.
that that they are
Mhm.
anticipating your arrival, then they get it.
Yes.
They get it like, I'm not just here to go to school. I'm not just here on this earth just to go from life to death. But each day, there are moments that create positive momentum that can really change the outlook of someone's life or change their lives too.
Yeah,
Mm,
it's so natural for us to just
powerful.
focus on the negative all the time. And,
Yeah.
sometimes we got to remind people that there are good things that are happening. We talk about silver linings, but it's not clouds all the time. I mean, there are sunny days. Sometimes you just got to see the sun through the clouds. But it's
Yeah.
difficult
It's true.
sometimes. I want to switch gears a bit because this is Truth Lies Shenanigans, and we're all about social commentary. So, and you have a unique perspective, with your intersection of art, culture, social issues. So, recently, Jamie Foxx and actually Neo faced some backlash for comments that they posted online. His comments were considered anti-Semitic, and Neo had some issues with the LGBTQ community. Um, so, in the age of cancel culture, how do you navigate that fine line between expression and then also social responsibility? What are your thoughts on how
Mhm.
public figures should approach these sensitive topics? And also, I want to know, do you think they should have apologized?
Good question. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's let me start with the last question. Do I think they should have apologized? Only if they mean it. I don't like false
Mm,
apologies.
mm,
Me
And I
either.
think we live in a world of performance, especially as celebrities. Well, even as
Yeah.
people, we perform
Yeah.
without the intention or without the I guess the authenticity or being genuine about what we're doing. And so um, if they meant it, sure, but if not, if you're just doing it for the money, if you're doing it for to release the backlash, then I would say stand true to your principles or what you value.
Right.
I think it's interesting that people seek controversy as opposed to conversation. I think that's
mm.
pretty much the world that we live in.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
so whatever you say
well
that may
put.
have been a jewel I dropped. I don't know,
That is a
but that was a
jewel.
I
real
That's a
know.
gem.
like that one down.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Exactly.
you know, everyone is looking for the controversy as opposed to the conversation. I don't need people to agree. Quite frankly, I do things personally that I don't even agree with what I'm doing. Okay. So
Myself.
like why would I need to agree with anybody else?
Hmm.
So like
Yeah.
I don't need people to agree, but respect opinion, respect the stance, and respect a different viewpoint. We're creating a world of polarity,
Hmm.
and very few of
mhm.
us are learning how to exist in the gray in this black and white world. And so
Hmm.
I try to stay in the gray, and see both sides. I
Yes.
could see what Neo's saying. I could see what people are saying. I could see what Jamie Foxx, even though that's a whole other
Yeah,
sort of
Jamie Foxx.
situation.
I don't know. Jamie
Different.
Foxx. He wasn't even trying to
That was
be. He,
different.
he was talking
It
about something
wasn't.
completely different. He's talking about
It
his
wasn't
friend or something.
that. It
Yeah.
wasn't
That was
that deep,
different.
and that's one of those terms in the Black community. The they
Hmm.
is we use that a lot, but it wasn't that deep. But when people are looking for
Right.
controversy as opposed to having
Right.
conversation, we'll miss it every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
Totally
point.
agree with that. All right.
But I
Before,
I just had
okay, we'll
one
let you
little
get that one
question.
last
It's a
question. Go ahead.
fun one.
All right.
It's a fun one. You'll
Go
like
ahead.
it, Aaron. Who is some of your favorite musicians or favorite artists?
Oh
Pick
my
your top
gosh! I mean,
two.
top two. So I am going to go with Okay, you said favorite artist. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Kendrick Lamar
Hmm.
as an artist, because I
Nice.
feel like his last album that he dropped was really art, and I like how he released it, um,
Yes.
on his own terms,
I agree with you on
and
Kendrick.
it was a and it was an album for him expressing him and not necessarily for the fans, which I respect. It wasn't for the
Yeah.
masses, it was for the
Kendrick.
folks. Yeah, and so I'm
Mm.
putting
Mm.
Kendrick, and then my second one, Rhapsody, who
Oh,
MC out of
wow.
North Carolina. Yeah, I am a huge when
I
when
like
she drops an
Rhapsody a lot.
album. Yep, 12 o'clock. If she drops an album at midnight, which is what happened on Apple Music, I'm up at midnight, getting my Rhapsody fit. So,
I'm about to check Rhapsody
We
out.
Rhapsody,
love it.
That's
What
awesome.
type of
Oh
music?
yeah.
What
Yeah.
type of music she sing?
She's
hip
a
hop.
rapper.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's a rapper. Oh, so you know her,
Very
she.
good
Gianni.
lyricist.
Okay,
I've
I
heard
never
of
heard of
her.
her.
Rhapsody, yes.
I'm surprised I
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
heard of her. All right, I'm gonna check
She
out Rhapsody.
has like in my estimation, three near classic or near perfect albums in a row.
Mm.
And so her
Oh
music is
wow.
so
Wow.
authentic and beautiful. So yeah, I'm a huge fan.
All right,
Shout out to Rhapsody.
we'll check her out.
Big endorsement. Big
All right.
endorsement.
So
Yeah.
that is all the time we have. So if you could just take us a minute, tell people where they can find you, and then share any final thoughts that you have for us.
Yo, get at me on IamMufali.com. I am doing a lot of trainings, whether it be team building trainings, diversity, equity, inclusion trainings, or really how to create community. I am big on that and I can teach that. So reach out to me on IamMufali.com. Also check out my podcast, The Semi-Social Life of a Black Introvert podcast, anywhere on Spotify, Apple, wherever you can find a podcast, I'm going to be there. And
Yeah.
so definitely reach out. I will answer back. I'm an introvert, but I will definitely hit you back.
Well, this was a great conversation, Aaron. I really enjoyed
That was
talking to
awesome.
you. I
Really was,
appreciate
yeah.
you joining
Me
us.
too.
Thank you.
All right.
You did
Thank you
excellent.
so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you.